Okay, so my case study will be about Windeln.de, which was one of our first customers using our logical data warehouse. And they wanted to become, at that point, a data-driven company. So they wanted to see what data do they have. They wanted to make decisions on that data. And let's go to the next slide. So there's a lot here, so that should be 5 slides actually, but let us walk through it. So right now, on the left-hand top side, you can see they last year they made 140 million euros in revenue. And on the right-hand side, let's take a look at the challenges that they have. So selling these diapers and everything that is for babies and children, this is a low-margin business area. So you need to know what people do you address. You need to know your pricing. So you have to have competitive pricing to get people to buy some stuff. You need to analyze your data very well. And what they had as a challenge also was that they had a high IT effort because they didn't really build a data warehouse. Everything they did was doing that manually. So there were 3 people pushing around data every day, and so they knew they needed to change that. And with the solution we implemented there, they were able to connect all these data sources that we have there. We're going to have a list of that as well. Integrated this into one solution, and they wanted to be able to use the BI front end that they want to have. So they were actually swapping, for example, between Excel and Tableau as a BI front end. So it needed to be independent of a BI front end tool, as we agreed already in the beginning that it's a good idea to have this as a separate part. They wanted to have real-time access to the data, so they really wanted to see the data as it was happening to be able to react quicker. And they needed a pre-structuring of the data. They didn't want to do this using the ETL process per se, but they wanted to use a software that did the pre-structuring for them automatically. And this is especially the case, for example, for NoSQL databases. So if you work in that area, you will see that it's a problem to analyze those sources together if one of them is a non-structured source. So you need to apply some structure to it, and this is done by our software automatically. They got results from the first day. So when we started with the POC there, they could already see the first stuff on their dashboards on the first day. So that, I think, is impressive for that product. Increased flexibility, as Jonathan said, it's with the solution that we have in place here, it takes only 1 hour to get to new data, and if metadata keeps changing, it's very well applied. And this is the same thing for Windeln as well. They wanted to improve their processing time. You will see this from order entry to shipment. So they were analyzing the whole process, the whole chain from people actually approaching, the cohort approaching their website, up to the delivery of the package, so to say. Everything in between they wanted to analyze. So they wanted to become process efficient to grow fast. So let's take a look at the variety here. So these were the data sources they started with. You recognize sometimes there's one data source behind the systems that they have, but often it's not. So they started with MongoDB as a NoSQL data source, with Postgres, with Microsoft SQL, a lot of stuff there, but also did have their own CRM that they wanted to integrate, and Facebook ad information is also something that's really tough to integrate. Also, every e-commerce company starts, of course. I mean, you start with your Magento web shop, for example, with your analytics and with your AdWords. So you're immediately a company that needs data integration from the beginning. And all these data sources needed to be integrated for them to make analysis of that. And for our product, it's a little bit different in the approach that Lucas was mentioning, so and also that Jonathan is actively doing. We don't necessarily extract the data in some ETL process, but we keep the data, if it's possible, we keep the data at the source, and when you do a report, we load the data from the original source directly. So we can use some replication. That's why we call it a logical data warehouse. So if it's required, if your dashboard needs to appear really quickly, and you don't want to stretch your data sources, you extract the data. But if you want to have real-time data that is happening right now, with our tool, you can leave the data where it is, and you can, so to say, stream it through the server, and the server will take care of structuring the data and will take care of joining the data. So now it's not about that rapid BI anymore. It's about a little bit what the dashboard that they did create. So they used Tableau for that. So they used the BI front in Tableau, connected it to the integrated data that they had on our server. And the first one on the left-hand side is a cohort analysis. So you see on the left-hand side here in orange and blue, you see the visitors to the websites, and the orange ones are the ones that did buy stuff, and the blue ones are the ones that did not convert. And this is by time, so you have a nice analysis of who's approaching the website and if they are converted or not. And also the cohort analysis charted in a different way on the right-hand side of the left diagram. What they do is actually they do monitor prices of the competition. And this is, for example, one use case where you need to be really quick, where you need to act on those prices that the competition has. And they are scraping the websites of their competition to get the prices from there. And then they adjust themselves in the middle. So they try to not to be the most expensive one, but also not to be the cheapest one. So they try to align their prices in the middle. And I learned that this is a thing that I read 70 to 80% of companies now already do that, comparing their own prices to the competition in online marketing. So it needs to be done if you're in the e-commerce field. Interesting is here, even though we say we don't do ETL, what they did use our tool for is to control their remaining ETL processes. So they still had some ETL happening there, and they did use our tool and also Tableau as a front end again to monitor what's happening in the ETL processes. So they have also real-time data about what's happening and can see when, for example, the systems are overloaded. On the right-hand side, it's something completely different. It's the time it takes actually from the order, from placing an order, for example, for diapers or for some baby products, until it's being the product is received at the door. And you can see on the right-hand side. So the blue one we have there. This took more than 5 weeks. To approach the goal. So this is a very bad thing. And if it takes 5 weeks, then you're in trouble if you have a baby and you're out of diapers. As you can see from left to right, from 2013 to 2014, is that you can see that they improved the process very much. So everything on the right-hand side you see in red now is being done in 3 weeks. So you can really see how they improved that and how they were monitoring the whole thing using their BI solution. These are some analysis that they do with their data. So it's not about controlling what you are doing and your efficiency, but it's already using prediction. For example, on the right-hand side, we can see it. So they predict what product will be put next into the basket. So they are using R as a tool to analyze what people are doing on the website and what they put on into their shopping basket, and based on that, they have a probability that you can see on the right-hand side in the size of the circles what will be put next into the basket. So they can actually seduce people to buy more because they're offering the right product at the right time. So they know they just put this in there, and let's present the next product that should be in the basket. And also what's put in between there is that they could calculate the age of the child. So they could really see from what people were buying, how old that kid was. We're writing that to the database, using the tool eventually then to send mails to people. Now your child needs that and that product because we know that it's that old. So that's a really good use of data. They can analyze clusters of people who will be efficient, which is green on the right-hand side, who will make profit when they come back and order stuff again. And on the left-hand side, they have the ones that only take the cheap products with low margin, so they need to separate them out a little bit.